Now on Fox 14, some area health providers receive their supply of vaccines for young kids ahead of vaccination clinics.
Negotiations on Capitol Hill coming down to the wire with potential votes on the bipartisan infrastructure bill and the social spending plan sometime this week. I'm Mallory Rivera in Washington with what's holding up a final decision from undecided lawmakers coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Albee. Crawford County, Kansas is ready for parents and guardians who are looking to get their 5 to 11-year-olds vaccinated against the coronavirus. According to the KDHE's vaccination tracker, a little under 54% of the Kansas population has gotten at least one shot against the coronavirus. But the Crawford County Health Department director thinks those numbers will continue to rise, especially with all the phone calls her department has gotten recently about getting kids vaccinated. Now that the CDC has signed off on Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for 5 to 11-year-olds, Crawford County Health Department will be holding its first walk-in vaccination clinic for that age group tomorrow from 2 to 4 p.m. The department's director says this is another crucial step to overcoming the pandemic.
I think it's definitely a key component, especially for the younger ones. Our numbers have been higher in the elementary schools in some of the school districts, so this will definitely be a major advancement.
Crawford County Health Department will also hold a second walk-in vaccination clinic for that age group on Monday from 2 to 6 p.m. This one aims to offer Crawford County parents, guardians more after-school hours options. The Joplin Health Department will not be offering shots for 5 to 11-year-olds. The emergency authorization covers only the Pfizer vaccine, and the Joplin Health Department only administers the Moderna vaccine. Local health departments are reporting more COVID-19 deaths. Over in Jasper County, a man in his 40s passed away with the virus. His death brings Jasper County's total to 236. Over in Neosho County, Kansas, county health officials report 3 more deaths. That brings Neosho County's total to 51. Some U.S. companies have 2 months from today to get their employees vaccinated. It's the latest mandate from the Biden administration, and it's expected to cover as many as 100 million working Americans. Comes as the first shots for children, as we've been hearing about, ages 5 to 11 are going into arms. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively has more on the federal government's COVID response efforts and why some Republicans say the mandates go too far.
With an estimated 30% of Americans still not fully vaccinated from the coronavirus, the Biden administration Thursday rolled out new vaccine mandates, requiring large companies with 100 employees or more to vaccinate their workforces or have them undergo weekly testing by January 4th.
Vaccine requirements work.
On Capitol Hill, lawmakers grilled the administration's COVID response team, asking about whether the mandates are necessary and if they'll make a difference.
Will it save lives? And do you have an estimate of the number of lives it might save?
The answer to your question is yes, it does save lives. What that number is, you'd have to do modeling, Senator.
I would think that would be helpful for me and for others who are concerned about mandates. We're also concerned about lives lost.
The mandates come one day after the president urged parents to also get children vaccinated, after the CDC authorized shots for kids ages 5 to 11.
And we're going to do everything we can to make these vaccines easily available.
Once I saw that it was available, it was a no-brainer.
But some Republicans argue vaccine mandates go too far.
This Joe Biden mandate is a recipe for financial disaster. Even if you can keep the workers you have, congratulations, Joe Biden has now made you into the vaccine police.
Companies that don't follow the mandate could face fines of nearly $14,000 per violation. Caroline Shively, Fox News.
A Mountville, Missouri man is dead after a crash near Joplin. Missouri State Highway Patrol says Daryl Shoemaker was driving on 66 2 miles west of Joplin when he tried to cross the westbound lanes and was hit by another car. Shoemaker passed away at the scene. The driver of the other car was taken to Freeman Hospital with moderate injuries. Newton County, Missouri jury convicts a Neosho man accused of stealing a police cruiser. Authorities say 37-year-old Jason Hurst was in police custody. He was in a police car for trespassing. While the officers were tending to another subject, he slipped out of his handcuffs, crawled into the front seat of the cruiser, and drove off. Police chased after him and caught him when he flipped the car. Hurst was found guilty of tampering with a motor vehicle, also resisting arrest. Joplin's Main Street was closed today between 4th and 7th Streets because it's really hard to drive around a crane this big. Look at that. Look at that. The crane was obstructing traffic. The city was untangling the American flag on City Hall's roof, also fixing the pole that flies the Missouri flag.
We went from we were flying an 8x12 flag. We found out that obviously that the 12-foot long flag is too long and it interferes with the other poles. So now we're flying a 6x10.
The crane is now gone. Old Glory is flying free. And Main Street is reopened for traffic. All's good. All's good. Democrats on Capitol Hill are entering a new phase in their negotiations on a massive social spending package. Party leaders in the House say they are inching closer to holding a vote, but it's unclear when a vote is actually going to come. Also in limbo is the bipartisan infrastructure bill that the Senate has already passed. As Fox's Madeline Rivera tells us from D.C., the only thing certain is all the uncertainty.
It was not a good night.
Still reeling from their disappointments on election night, some House Democrats now feel emboldened to pass key portions of the president's domestic agenda, arguing they need to show voters they can accomplish big things. Inaction, several of them believe, cost them the gubernatorial race in Virginia.
The bills will be great for Virginia and great for the country.
The scope of their $1.75 trillion social spending bill now growing. A major provision, paid family leave, is back in after being dropped last week because of opposition from Senator Joe Manchin. Its fate in the Senate unclear.
I wish we wouldn't do this ping pong where we pass something, Senate's going to make changes, send it back over here.
A new analysis from the Joint Committee on Taxation says the package would raise nearly $1.5 trillion in revenue over 10 years, mainly through taxes from corporations and the wealthy. A score from the Congressional Budget Office, though, could take weeks. And until then, Manchin says he won't back the bill.
He will get a full Congressional Budget Office score.
Republicans argue the true cost of the legislation is more than Democrats think.
It's really more like $4 trillion because there's so many games and gimmicks in the bill.
There has been some talk of holding House votes on the bipartisan infrastructure bill and the social spending plan this week, but Democrats don't have all the support they need, leaving the timeline unclear. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
KOM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another four-state hero. Gerald Elliott served in the U.S. Navy from 1944 to 46. Native of Stark, Kansas, Elliott was at Pearl Harbor, also spending time in New Guinea, also Australia. We are proud to thank and salute Gerald Elliott. He's tonight's four-state hero. Doug Hedges next with a complete look at the forecast. A bit later, Pitt State Gorillas aiming to keep their playoff hopes alive this weekend against Washburn. Going to hear from the Gorillas in sports.
Well, it turned out to be a pretty good Thursday for us today. After a cold start, we had our first freeze of the fall season as a lot of areas dropped 1 or 2 digits below that freezing mark. And not a bad day, though. I mean, we had a lot of clouds across the region, but we also got some sunshine as we worked through the daytime hours. Nice time lapse. This is Indigo Sky, Casino and Resort, of course. You can see those mid and upper level clouds, but in general, at least we're dry because we've had some rain across the region over the past couple days. Frosty tonight, but we are going to start to warm things back up as we head into the weekend. Of course, you can always get my long range forecast on my month-long blog. That is KOMNewsNow.com. Look at our lows. Most of us near 30 in southwestern Missouri, a little bit warmer on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side, but a heavy frost. We're going to have frost again as we go through the overnight hours tonight. Most of us mid-50s for about 55 for a high. And we've dropped back a bit now. We're sitting mainly into the mid-40s. We'll drop back into the mid-30s once again. But it looks okay. We have some clouds up top, currently sitting at 46. Easterly winds are light. Humidity is kind of high, about 83%. And we do have some clouds which have been streaming through, at least over the past 4, 5, 6 hours. Again, nothing underneath the clouds, so pretty quiet here across the Central Plains. Out to the west, this system will shoot across the northern plains. So there's not much going on. This is pretty much our weather as we go through the next 4 or 5 days. We look pretty good. Frosty start, mid-30s. The afternoon looks great. I'd say a few digits higher than what we saw today, so upper 50s to near 60. Cold start, 36, 54 by noon, high temp near 60, south winds. They're going to be light at about 5 to 10. Tomorrow evening looks good. We'll drop back upper 30s once again Saturday morning. And then Saturday afternoon looks fantastic as we go into the mid-60s for highs, even a little bit warmer by the time Sunday rolls around. So Sunday looks pretty good. Really, the entire weekend looks great. Near 70 by Sunday. Monday looks pretty good. Then we'll start to see some changes. You can see this wind shift line. This is late Monday. That's a cold front, which is going to sneak in on Tuesday, giving us chances for rain, and then just kind of hanging out on top of us Wednesday into early Thursday with additional showers, maybe even a few thunderstorms, and then we'll cool down quite a bit behind it by the time we head into late next week. All right, 59 tomorrow, 65 Saturday, 70 on Sunday. Clocks go back 1 hour. Temperature is pretty good next week, but we have those rain chances on Tuesday and Wednesday. And then if we extend into next week and look at the much cooler air, which works in next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So enjoy the nice temperatures we're going to get most of next week. All right, so this is based on my pattern. We're about ready to finish the first cycle. We're kind of all over the place this month. Cold the middle of the month, chilly for Thanksgiving. Don't really see much in the way of snow chances, mainly rain chances, but something we want to watch. So if we look from the 14th through the 20th, we're looking at 40s and 50s, but a pretty quiet week, and then back into the 60s by the second half of the week. By the time we hit the 19th and 20th, we're going to have some rain chances, but overall, a pretty quiet week. It gets kind of active Thanksgiving week, and it looks mainly cool, so we're talking 40s and 50s showers Wednesday, Thanksgiving, and then also on Black Friday, but at least the week starts out mainly into the 60s. So let's go from the very end of the month into the first week of December. It really gets active. We have rain chances Tuesday, Wednesday, thunderstorms Thursday and Friday, and possibly on Saturday the 4th, a rain-snow mix. So we're heading into those winter months, but overall, November looking fairly typical for this part of the country. Jordan?
All right, Doug, thank you. Coming up, a military report released amid a worsening situation in Afghanistan.
The Air Force releases the results of a controversial drone strike in Afghanistan. I'm Lucas Tomlinson at the Pentagon. I'll have the details coming up.
U.S. military offering more details about a controversial drone strike as the situation goes from bad to worse in Afghanistan. Fox News correspondent Lucas Tomlinson has more from the Pentagon.
The Air Force admits to an error, but nobody will be punished. That's the finding of the Inspector General who investigated a deadly drone strike in Kabul back in August. 10 innocent people, including 7 children, were killed when a U.S. Reaper drone fired a Hellfire missile at a Toyota after following the car for 8 hours. The Inspector General says a series of mistakes led officials to believe there was a bomb in the vehicle, but claims those mistakes were not criminal, pointing to the chaotic atmosphere as the U.S. withdrew from Afghanistan, with 13 American troops killed in a suicide attack just 3 days before the drone strike.
You have to put yourself into the conditions that existed at the time. And what I mean by that is the risk to force at HKIA and the multiple threat streams that they were receiving of an imminent attack.
The report comes as the situation in Afghanistan is getting more dangerous. ISIS militants launching a series of attacks on key Taliban targets this week, hitting the biggest military hospital in Kabul Tuesday, and planning roadside bombs targeting Taliban patrols on Wednesday. A growing number of Afghans now say a civil war is inevitable, and if the Taliban loses, ISIS would be virtually unstoppable in the region.
There is the probability of a civil war inside Afghanistan. If the Taliban do not stop ISIS, they will become more powerful and could be a big threat for everyone.
On Thursday, the leader of the Taliban warned the group may have been infiltrated by an unknown people. At the Pentagon, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
Next, beyond the scoreboard.
An NBA star is taking the Chinese government to task over human rights abuses. I'm Matt Napolitano in New York. The details straight ahead.
A new government report shows the U.S. trade deficit jumps to a record high in September. According to the Commerce Department, the trade gap surged to $80.9 billion. Experts point to the global supply chain crisis as largely the problem as American companies scramble to find parts and goods to build their products. Exports tumbled 3% in September, and industrial supplies also fell. This as import prices surge because of demand outweighing supply. Well, athletes are known for being outspoken on political issues here in the U.S., but one NBA player is calling out Chinese leaders. Fox's Matt Napolitano explains.
The NBA's relationship with China has come under fire in recent years, but Boston Celtics forward Enes Kanter is fed up with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Kanter taking to social media in recent weeks with videos calling out the Chinese government for various human rights abuses, including the denial of Tibetan independence and the imprisonment of Uyghur Muslims.
The Chinese government has sent Uyghurs, along with Kazakhs, Tajiks, and other Muslim groups to concentration camps for simply applying for a passport, for texting someone overseas, or for believing in anything that does not align with the Chinese Communist Party's agenda.
Kanter, who is Muslim, called on fellow Muslim athletes to also call out the Chinese government. Kanter has also been critical of Turkish President Recep Erdogan, making remarks that at one point led to a warrant for his arrest in his native Turkey. The Celtics star also called out Nike for what he sees as a double standard, the apparel company willingly addressing social justice issues in the U.S., but staying silent on China's human rights violations. The Celtics standing by Kanter, team president Brad Stevens told a Boston sports radio station, quote, "My conversation with Enes was real short and sweet, and that is, we're always going to support any of our players and their right to freedom of speech and expression." How did China respond to Kanter's comments? They've barred all broadcasts of Boston Celtics games throughout the country. In New York, Matt Napolitano, Fox News.
Coming up, what could be the largest potato on world record? You're going to see some weight numbers when we come back. A possible large record-breaking potato was grown over in New Zealand. While weeding their garden, Colin and Donna Craig Brown came across this huge potato that we're about to... Look at that! Now, it may not look like the purtiest potato you've ever seen, but it could be the largest. The potato was named Doug by its owners and even got its own special cart made so it could be easily transported. Now, weighing more than 17 pounds. The couple has applied to Guinness World Records. The current record holder for the heaviest potato is one from Britain, by the way, that weighed just 11 pounds. 17 pounds, man, that's impressive. It's impressive. All right, 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. Some area high school students getting a virtual hands-on look at operating some heavy equipment.
Jury selection in the Ahmaud Arbery murder trial faces backlash ahead of opening statements. I'm Jonathan Seri in Brunswick, Georgia. I'll have details coming up.
Dancers from all over Southwest Missouri gathered in Carthage to show off their routines to their friends, family, and each other. For one Carthage dancer, this is her last time participating. KOM's Bronte Sorotsky has how a yearly dance competition impacts these teenagers' lives.
For Carthage senior Carly Simpson, Thursday night was a memorable one.
Yeah, it's going to be my last one.
It was the 2021 Southwest Missouri Dance Team Showcase, something she's been doing all throughout high school.
You know, time flies, and I really feel that way, especially with this year, but I'm excited, but I'm also really sad because I love this group of girls that I'm with on my team, and we're really, really close, and we've been dancing for a long time together, so it's going to be hard to give it up, but I'm glad that I can be here.
The showcase is a way for teams from all over Southwest Missouri, from Carthage to McDonald County, to show off their moves and raise funds for the team.
Yeah, we use it towards uniforms and competitions and traveling to competitions that we go to in the winter.
Melanie Perkins, Carthage dance coach, says it's also a way for dancers all over Southwest Missouri to fully have the spotlight on them.
So usually they're kind of supporting football and basketball, and this is kind of just something to highlight them as athletes, as individuals, and all the hard work that they put into dancing. Just kind of an event just especially for them.
For Simpson, she says the showcase is not only an opportunity to show off her and her team's talent, but also to connect with people at other schools who share the same passion as her and her teammates.
Well, there's people from Webb and Carl Junction there, and they are also here. And I've danced with them for about 5 to 6 years, and I also know other people from other teams, and I think it's a great way to meet new people and learn how other teams form.
It's a way for these students to showcase their hard work and talent with each other, while also getting support back from their communities. In Carthage, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
This was the dance team's 13th year participating in this showcase. Some authors over at Pitt State are honored for their work and contributions. Some of the authors include Professor of English Cassie Hermanson, who's written several children's stories. Also, Professor of Management Donald Back, who has written about business.
It's really wonderful because a lot of what we do is toiling away in offices on our own, and so it's nice to come out and show off a little bit and have colleagues enjoy what you've done and be able to share what you've been doing with colleagues who are interested as well.
Today's author recognition was part of Pitt State's 38th annual University Authors Reception. Joplin Area Chamber of Commerce hosted a Regional Innovation and Technology Summit. Topics included entrepreneurship, innovation, and technology. One goal: to bring together innovative thinkers who leverage technology to overcome barriers.
So I think we're in the beginning stages of what could be something really great as this grows on year after year. And I think just having people from speakers all over the world and all over the nation come in and talk about the important topics of cybersecurity.
As we just heard, today's all-day summit had a special focus on cybersecurity, an issue that's growing. Some new drivers are getting ready to hit the road, not in cars, but in tricycles. Those things preschoolers at Park Elementary in Columbus, Kansas have been learning tricycle safety and held a tricathon today to test out those skills. It was all for a good cause, as the class raised money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
It's just very near and dear to my heart because my son, like I said, was a patient of St. Jude, and I've heard of the place before, but I'd never been there. And once you go there and see how it's ran, you will understand that this is the best place that you can donate, because it doesn't go to the people that work there. It goes to help the children. The parents don't pay anything.
Listen to this. The teacher has hosted tricathons for several years now and has raised more than $100,000 for St. Jude. Awesome job. Some McDonald County students got a hands-on lesson on operating heavy equipment. Hands-on in a simulator anyway. Nabholz Construction brought a skid steer simulator to the high school for ag class students to try out. The company uses the simulator to train new employees before getting them on the actual job site. So it provides a good experience for students as well.
And this is an amazing opportunity for them to get some training and to get their feet wet, basically, on how to do some things that may end up changing their life. And it could change their complete career path based off of what they experienced today.
The company also talks to the ag students about job opportunities that are available. Prosecutors and defense attorneys will soon make opening statements in the trial for Ahmaud Arbery's killing. Jury selection wrapped up yesterday, Wednesday. The final panel is facing criticism. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Seary has more.
Opening statements in the Ahmaud Arbery murder trial are expected Friday following 2.5 weeks of jury selection. Arbery, a black man, was out jogging in Brunswick, Georgia in February of 2020 when he was fatally shot. The racial makeup of the jury is facing backlash. Judge Timothy Walmsley allowed the seating of just one black juror and 11 white members, this despite prosecutors' objections that some black potential jurors were cut due to their race.
I was very shocked that we only had one black African-American man. I mean, it's devastating.
The judge said there appeared to be intentional discrimination in the process, but allowed the case to go forward. Defense attorneys maintain they had valid reasons apart from race to dismiss the jurors.
This community can now decide the pending issues of this indictment, and we truly believe that they will do so fairly and in keeping with what we all understand justice to be about.
The jury will be asked to determine whether Gregory McMichael, his son Travis, and neighbor William Roddy Bryan Jr. are guilty of malice and felony murder. Prosecutors say the McMichaels armed themselves and pursued Arbery in a pickup truck as he jogged in a residential neighborhood. Bryan is accused of joining the chase and taking cell phone video of Travis shooting Arbery 3 times with a shotgun. Defense attorneys say the McMichaels thought Arbery was responsible for burglaries in the area and that Travis fired in self-defense. The jury is set to be sworn in on Friday morning in Brunswick, Georgia. Jonathan Seary, Fox News.
A bit later, what is being called a bright light amid this supply chain challenge?
The denim comes from Georgia. The jeans are sewn here in Maine. I'm Lydia Hu with the Fox Business Network. Coming up, I'll tell you about this American company that is thriving despite the supply chain bottlenecks.
Well, it turned out to be a pretty good Thursday for us today. After a cold start, we had our first freeze of the fall season as a lot of areas dropped 1 or 2 digits below that freezing mark, and not a bad day though. I mean, we had a lot of clouds across the region, but we also got some sunshine as we worked through the daytime hours. Nice time lapse. This is Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course. You can see those mid and upper level clouds, but in general, at least we're dry because we've had some rain across the region over the past couple days. Frosty tonight, but we are going to start to warm things back up as we head into the weekend. Of course, you can always get my long-range forecast on my month-long blog. That is KOAMnewsnow.com. Look at our lows. Most of us near 30 in southwestern Missouri. A little bit warmer on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side, but a heavy frost. We're going to have frost again as we go through the overnight hours tonight. Most of us mid-50s for about 55 for a high, and we've dropped back a bit now. We're sitting mainly into the mid-40s. We'll drop back into the mid-30s once again, but it looks okay. We have some clouds up top, currently sitting at 46. Easterly winds are light. Humidity is kind of high, about 83%. And we do have some clouds which have been streaming through at least over the past 4, 5, 6 hours. Again, nothing underneath the clouds, so pretty quiet here across the Central Plains. Out to the west, this system will shoot across the northern plains, so there's not much going on. This is pretty much our weather as we go through the next 4 or 5 days. We look pretty good. Frosty start, mid-30s. The afternoon looks great. I'd say a few digits higher than what we saw today, so upper 50s to near 60. Cold start, 36, 54 by noon, high temp near 60, south winds. They're going to be light at about 5 to 10. Tomorrow evening looks good. We'll drop back upper 30s once again Saturday morning, and then Saturday afternoon looks fantastic as we go into the mid-60s for highs, even a little bit warmer by the time Sunday rolls around. So Sunday looks pretty good. Really, the entire weekend looks great. Near 70 by Sunday. Monday looks pretty good. Then we'll start to see some changes. You can see this wind shift line. This is late Monday. That's a cold front, which is going to sneak in on Tuesday, giving us chances for rain, and then just kind of hanging out on top of us Wednesday into early Thursday with additional showers, maybe even a few thunderstorms, and then we'll cool down quite a bit behind it by the time we head into late next week. All right, 59 tomorrow, 65 Saturday, 70 on Sunday. Clocks go back 1 hour. Temperature is pretty good next week, but we have those rain chances on Tuesday and Wednesday. And then if we extend into next week and look at the much cooler air, which works in next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So enjoy the nice temperatures we're going to get most of next week. All right, so this is based on my pattern. We're about ready to finish the first cycle. We're kind of all over the place this month. Cold the middle of the month, chilly for Thanksgiving. Don't really see much in the way of snow chances, mainly rain chances, but something we want to watch. So if we look from the 14th through the 20th, we're looking at 40s and 50s, but a pretty quiet week, and then back into the 60s by the second half of the week. By the time we hit the 19th and 20th, we're going to have some rain chances, but overall a pretty quiet week. It gets kind of active Thanksgiving week, and it looks mainly cool, so we're talking 40s and 50s showers Wednesday, Thanksgiving, and then also on Black Friday, but at least the week starts out mainly into the 60s. So let's go from the very end of the month into the first week of December. It really gets active. We have rain chances Tuesday, Wednesday, thunderstorms Thursday and Friday, and possibly on Saturday the 4th, a rain-snow mix. So we're heading into those winter months, but overall, November looking fairly typical for this part of the country. Jordan?
All right, Doug, thanks again. Coming up in sports, Carthage boys soccer team looking to claim a district championship at home tonight. Also, Pitt State football aiming to snap a 3-game losing streak to Washburn this weekend. Jacob Leiter has that and more next.
Well, this weekend is one of the biggest games of the season for the Pittsburg State Gorillas. Pitt State welcomes in Washburn on Saturday. Both teams are 7-2 heading into Week 10. The winner keeps their playoff hopes alive, while the loser Not really. So that's a motivating factor, but also Pitt State is motivated because they haven't really had great luck against Washburn in the last decade.
A bunch of older guys, including me, we've never beat Washburn since we've been here. We're really looking forward to this, and it also being the last game that we'll play in Carney Smith. That's also pretty big, but right now we're not really trying to focus on that.
They're very fundamental. They're very sound in what they do, and they've had our number for the last 10 years. You know, 3-7 in the last 10 years, and lost the last 3 in a row. And some guys, that sit in our meeting rooms that have never beaten them. And so we got a football team here that's coming into town that is very good, and we got to be ready to play our best game.
The Pittsburgh State men's basketball team hits the floor tonight against Kansas State in their second preseason exhibition game of the season. Gorillas fall in that one 78-59. Antonio Givens goes for a team-high 13 points and 6 rebounds. Also on the floor tonight, the Missouri Southern women playing their first exhibition game on the road against Wichita State. Wichita State wins that one 89-61. However, nice night for freshman and Mount Vernon product Lacey Stokes in her first action for the Lions. She scores a team-high 19 while collecting 7 rebounds. The Pittsburgh State cross-country teams will be in Joplin on Saturday, running in the Central Regional meet. The Pitt State men are coming off their first ever MIAA Conference Championship. Now, at the league meet, it was an 8K race for the men. It will be a 10K race on Saturday at regionals, something the Gorilla men are actually looking forward to.
Coach Ben's been preparing us all year to go from 8K to 10K. We like to call that our office, so most people dread the 8 to 10K jump. We like to smile and think, we got 2 more K to chase you down and hunt you down, and so we're going to use it to our advantage. People are going to dread going to 10K, but we look forward to it. Like I said, when we see 8K, most people are thinking, man, I hope this race ends. We're thinking, we're just starting to wake up and come find you. We have guys that close really, really hard. And so we think that with the people that we have, with just the mental toughness, that guerrilla toughness, that adding that 2K is going to be a huge benefit to us, just hunting people down the last 2K.
On the women's side, Pittsburgh State is coming off a 3rd place finish at the conference championships. And they head into the weekend ranked 7th in the region with the top 3 Saturday, earning an automatic trip to nationals. Now the Gorillas are motivated to get into that top 3 after not quite finishing where they wanted to finish at the MIAA championships.
We're kind of disappointed in the result, especially in the girls' team. But we're really, really ready, and I think we kind of like the feeling that we're underdogs. There's not really a lot of expectations for you when you're the underdog, so going into it, we're just excited to just kind of see what we can do with the other teams, and because I think we're ranked like 7th, I think. But we can see ourselves being top 3 for sure if we just make the right moves and we're smart with our racing strategy.
Finally, the Carthage High School boys soccer team has a shot at a district title tonight. They're hosting Kickapoo in the Class 4 District 6 Championship. Kickapoo, though, takes it 3-0 to move on to the state quarterfinals. That's it for sports. We're back with more news after this.
Tackling the supply chain crisis. U.S.-based companies are ramping up production here at home to keep supplies coming and customers happy. Fox Business Network's Lydia Hugh is at Origin USA's plant in Farmington, Maine, with what that company is doing.
We are at Origin USA here in Maine. This company makes everything from nutritional supplements, apparel, and shoes, all of it sourced and made right here in the United States. This company has doubled its workforce during the pandemic. The CEO says it's because people want to work at a place that's investing in America. CEO Pete Roberts joining us right now. Pete, you're getting ready for the holiday season. Has demand just gone through the roof for you guys?
Yeah, demand has skyrocketed. I mean, it's been explosive growth for us. So, you know, what we're trying to do is build a really strong culture throughout our employee base. We're spread over 5 locations, 2 states, 250 employees, most of them between the ages of 20 and 30. So they see the American dream as very much alive. And they're here with us. They toughed it out through the pandemic, and we're just rocking and rolling because right now, as you know, Made in America is so important.
Part of it is the future. It is the way out. You own most of your supply chain. Take us inside a little bit. How do you own most of your supply chain? How does that actually work when you're, supplying a pair of jeans?
You know, in 2013, we rescued a loom from an abandoned mill in Lewiston, Maine. It was the last one left. All the rest of them were shipped to China. We took this loom. We found an old timer, Lenny Davis. He showed us the way. on how to weave again. And we started weaving fabric. And we said, we're going to have to own the supply chain. We're going to have to pass the knowledge down and lock it in and bottle it so that we can actually do this for real again. It's like a renaissance of American manufacturing.
Do you feel like this is the future? Is Origin going to grow from here?
Origin's going to explode. I mean, America's next big brand, we're setting that. That's our mark. So we're going to do everything in our power to keep it here 100% without compromise in America, every component.
Well, we thank you for taking us on the inside and sharing some insight. Thank you very much, Pete. You know, the workers here, this is some of the expansion. They're working hard, making jeans right here. Can't get much more American than that. For now, Lydia Hu for Fox Business reporting from Farmington, Maine.
Next, going to learn about a new movie with Tom Hanks starring in a post-apocalyptic sci-fi drama. A new apocalyptic adventure coming to life on Apple TV Plus this Friday. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin has this story.
Now, if you can speak, tell me something about you.
Tom Hanks forms an unlikely family in the post-apocalyptic sci-fi drama Finch. He plays a robotics engineer, one of the few survivors on Earth after a cataclysmic solar event, who heads out on a dangerous cross-country journey to find a safer place to live for himself, his dog, and a newly created robot.
Hang on to something.
I think the heart of this story is about growing up and growing old. I think we're hoping that we might spark a conversation between young people and old people about this experience that they're both going through that seems so different but has so much in common with each other, which is the trauma of growing up.
Emmy-winning director Miguel Sapochnik was surprised and thrilled that Tom Hanks committed to doing the film.
For him to want to do this movie, and he actually waited a year and a half because I was unavailable because I was doing season 8 of Thrones. He waited a year and a half to go and make this movie, which was an unusual thing, but it made it all the more kind of enjoyable an experience.
With Hanks being the only human on screen the entire time, Sapochnik feels he was the right choice to single-handedly carry the movie, after proving he could do it in the 2000 blockbuster hit Castaway.
I can't really think of anyone else that I would rather work with and would rather have play Finch, and he was really willing to explore Finch and all of Finch's facets, of which some are quite dark.
What we do together.
Finch premieres on Apple TV Plus Friday. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Yeah, kind of reminds you of Castaway, doesn't it? All right, that's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with video of Komodo dragons at an Indonesian zoo. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. Don't get into fights like those guys. We'll see you tomorrow.